I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Village Board for June 25th, 2019. Could you please join us for the pledge? Village Clerk, would you please call the roll?
President DeSimone,
Here.
Trustee Franz,
Here.
Trustee Fry,
Here.
Trustee Lomax,
Here.
Trustee Penicola.
Here.
That's 4. 5, we have a quorum.
We will move to public comment. Does anyone wish to address the board? And if so, please approach the podium and state your name. Do we have anybody for public comment today?
No.
Seeing none, this will conclude our public comment. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the June 11th, 2019 Village Board meeting?
So
You have a
moved.
motion?
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any modifications to the minutes? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The motion carries and the minutes are approved. The next item of business is to approve the warrant in the amount of $552,658.82. Is there a motion to approve the warrant?
So moved.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second?
Is there any discussion on the warrant? Please call the roll.
Trustee Franz,
Yes.
Trustee Fry,
Yes.
Trustee Lomax.
Yes.
Trustee Penicola.
Yes.
That's 4.
The motion carries and the warrant is approved. Would the Deputy Village Clerk please read the 10 ordinances and resolutions on the consent agenda that were discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting?
Number 1, ordinance amending the Bensenville Village Code Title 3, Chapter 6, Section 3, Solicitors for the addition of application fees. 2, ordinance approving a preliminary and final plat of consolidation, site plan review, and variances to allow parking in the front yard and relief from parking lot perimeter landscaping at 630 to 640 South Thorndale Avenue, Bensenville, Illinois. 3, ordinance approving special use permits to allow truck repair and heavy industrial use and a variance to allow truck repair on less than 1 acre at 155 to 157 Beeline Drive, Bensenville, Illinois. 4, ordinance amending Title 9, Chapter 14, Section 1A of the Bensenville Village Code. 5, ordinance denying a variance to allow a roof in the interior side yard at 276 South Barron Street, Bensenville, Illinois. 6, resolution approving a lobbying service agreement with Alfred G. Ronan LTD and the Village of Bensenville. 7, resolution approving a participation of certain elected officials in the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. 8, resolution authorizing the approval of a purchase order to Core and Main for Census water meters annual maintenance in the not-to-exceed amount of $17,650. 9, resolution authorizing a wastewater treatment agreement between the Village of Bensenville and Elk Grove Village. 10, resolution receiving and placing on file the Village of Bensenville Comprehensive Annual Financial Report and Management Letter for fiscal year ending December 31st, 2018.
Is there a motion to approve the 10 resolutions and ordinances listed on the consent agenda and as read by the Deputy Clerk?
You have a motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
Please call the roll.
Trustee Franz,
Yes.
Trustee Fry,
Yes.
Trustee Lomax,
Yes.
Trustee Penicola.
Yes.
That's 4.
Motion carries and the items on the consent agenda are approved. We do not have any reports from village departments. I have a couple under the presidential remarks. York Road construction continues to remain on schedule. The project is due to be completed by July 4th, so please check the village website for more information on and updates. The 4th of July parade begins at 10 a.m. here at Village Hall, travels south down York Road and east on Jefferson to Redmond Park. Liberty Fest festivities include free public skate, free public swimming, pony rides, and much more. Food will be available from local vendors for purchase. Fireworks begin at 9:30, so please see our website for more information. Lastly, the Music in the Park location will move as of July 10th, 1 block north of its current location to Main and Center. The band Rico, which is a celebration of Santana, will be playing. And last but not least, everybody out there, please have a great, safe, and happy 4th of July. Do we have any presidential remark, village manager's report?
I do have a few, just a quick housekeeping item. Please recognize Trustee Carmona at 6:31 p.m. And then I do have the distinct opportunity this evening to introduce our new finance director to the Village of Bensenville. As you all know, Amit Thacker served the Village of Bensenville for several years before he recently got a new job up in Mount Prospect. And so big shoes to fill, but we are happy to announce that we have filled those shoes with Ms. Julie McManus. She's here with us this evening. Quick background on Julie. She is from the area. She grew up around Brookfield. She went to University of Illinois Champaign to get her accounting degree, and sure, our U of I contingent over there is excited to add another one. After U of I, she made her way out towards California, did a number of jobs, including working for a water utility firm, water utility district, a Native American tribe, as well as some municipal government experience. Most recently here in Illinois, she worked for the Fox Lake as their finance director, and we are happy to add her to our team. So please, I think a lot of you have made your introductions. Please take some time and meet her. She's jumped in. She started just yesterday and just jumped in, and we're already digging through audits and budgets and everything. So it's been a great transition so far. So welcome to the team, Julie. Thank you. Secondly, on the finance realm, I'd like to introduce John Wysocki from GW and Associates. John is our auditor. At the last meeting, we provided you with copies of the audit, so John's going to run through and give some highlights of his process as well as any findings that he may have, and then he'll open it up to any questions. So John, please make your way to the podium.
Thank you. We were very pleased to have performed the audit of the village for the second year now. And I promise not to go in detail on the comprehensive annual financial report, considering how many pages it is, but just want to highlight a couple items. One, I do want to congratulate the village on receiving the GFOA Certificate for Excellence in Financial Reporting for last year's report, and I know they're going to be submitting this year again for that award. On the independent auditor's report, I just want to mention that the financial statements we indicate are the responsibility of the village. We assist with preparation as a non-audit service, but the statements themselves are the village's responsibility. And our responsibility is to audit those statements. And based on the results of our procedures, we gave the opinion that the financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with the proper accounting requirements. There is a new accounting pronouncement that came into effect this year regarding other post-employment benefits, and that's basically healthcare benefits. Resulted in reporting an additional liability on the government-wide statements for these OPEB benefits. Very similar to what happened a number of years ago with pensions, putting on a liability for that. That's something everybody had to implement throughout the country. It did not affect, though, the fund financial statements, the general fund or any of the funds that you budget for. So it had no effect on that, just the government-wide statements. On the government-wide statements, governmental activities had a $7.5 million increase in net position. The business type activities, basically the water fund, had a $2.2 million increase in that position. So that was good. As far as the individual funds go, the general fund had a $2.4 million increase in fund balance for the year. Overall, total governmental funds went up $5.7 million. So you have a healthy fund balance. Seems like things are going pretty well as far as that goes. The report that I handed out this evening, the smaller stapled report, is a required communication with the board that basically gives a summary of the results of the audit, talks about the new accounting standard that was implemented, talks about some of the more significant estimates that are included in the financial statements, mainly dealing with pensions and OPEB. Those are based on actuarial calculations and estimates. Also, we're required to say if there were any problems with management during the audit. We're happy to report there were none. And whether there were any difficulties encountered and so forth, and there were none. It also includes any audit adjustments that we proposed and that were recorded, and also any what we call waived adjustments for immaterial amounts that did not require to be actually reflected in the financial statements. The other big thing that's happening this year for the first time is some new audit requirements related to some new legislation in the state of Illinois called the Grant Accountability and Transparency Act. GATA is the acronym on that. And I know the person that was involved in coming up with this legislation, and one of the things she was telling me is that she decided to name it that because she figured it should pass the legislature pretty easily because nobody's going to vote against accountability and transparency. And sure enough, it did pass. So there's some additional reporting requirements related to that. There's another report that we need to give what's called an in relation to opinion on, saying that basically this grant report is fairly stated in relation to the financial statements that we audited. So there was a good deal of additional work involving that, along with some more tighter reporting deadlines too, coming up at the end of the month. Are there any questions at all on the CAFR?
Yeah, John, I just want to start off, if I may. I think that, you mentioned how the change in our fund balance, which is a good thing, is going up. I think it's important to highlight why that is. And the big takeaway in this report is that in 2018, every single department budget came in under budget. It wasn't a single budget that went over budget. So all of that savings that we were able to achieve, we were able to essentially push over to the fund balance side. So that's where all it is. And I do want to compliment all of my department heads as well as the staff for finding those cost-cutting measures wherever they could, identifying them and then executing those projects. So my hat goes off to you guys on that. So thank you for the staff on that and for the board's leadership in enacting those efficiencies. John, audits are rather dry, if I may say so. I don't want to poo-poo on your profession, but they're rather dry. Essentially, you found no fraud, is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct, which is a good thing. This is kind of a big investigation on us, so there's no fraud, that's good. And how did you find our controls as related to cash handling and then internal operations controls?
Yeah, we didn't find any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses related to those types of controls.
As you guys know, we put a lot of time into increasing our SOPs within the village to make sure that there are doubles and triple checks on things. That's why we double sign every check that goes through an approval process that needs to be seen by 3, 4, 5 sets of eyes before anything gets cut and expended. So I want to thank Sharon for her interim leadership of the finance department. Amit's not here, but he has a great role to play in this. And John, I want to thank you for your audit on this. It's been a pleasure to work. So the board knows we are on a 3-year cycle with auditors that keeps us rotating, but as well as the same time keeps everything relevant. So this is year 2 with GW. We'll do next year's audit with GW, and then we'll go out to bid again for new audit services. And that's one of the best practices in the industry. So does the board have any questions for Mr. Wysocki?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, John. And a few other housekeeping items on the village manager's side. Vehicle stickers are required to be posted on July 1st. So make sure those stickers are up. For the 4th of July holiday, we will be closed here at Village Hall on 4th of July. It doesn't mean the village won't have activities. Like you mentioned, we've got a litany of activities on the 4th of July, so we invite everyone out for that. We will reopen Village Hall and Public Works on the 5th and 6th. That's Saturday. We will be open. And brush pickup. All right, seem to be having some trouble with this in town. Brush pickup will begin on July 1st. We'll pick up brush that first week, and then we'll be August until we pick up brush again. So we encourage residents to get your brush out starting the weekend before that July 1st. Get it out, put it out by the curb. Joe's team will come by at 6:59. It should be out, not 7:01. It should be out at 6:59 because the guys will start picking it up. Guys and gals will start picking it up at 7 o'clock sharp on Monday. So hope that clears up any questions, and that concludes the village manager's report for this week.
Do we have a village attorney's report?
I have no report, Mr. President.
Is there any unfinished business to come before the board? Is there any new business, which I do have one, to come before the board? I know Evan and I have been attending a lot of meetings with the airports, and we haven't been reporting it out to anybody because it's really, I don't want to come up here and say, no report, no report, no report, we're waiting. So can we give a 10-second overview on what's been going on and what we're looking at in the future
Yeah, I
about the
think
airport?
that's fair. We're kind of, I hate to use bad puns, but sometimes this job requires it, and I'm a dad now, so I can. We're in a holding pattern. So interim fly quiet, which was approved, is still going through the FAA review process. It's taking a long time. They have to respond to every single public comment that came in on that, and it's because this affects the entire region of O'Hare, Chicago, suburbs. They have to respond to every question. So that's taking a long time for them to craft those responses before they go out. We anticipate that the interim fly quiet plan, which is the nighttime rotation plan, should start to go into effect in November. That date hasn't changed. We're working on some construction schedules at the airport. As you guys know, they've approved $8.7 billion to be invested in the airport. That does create some issues with which runways will be available for the rotation plan. So that's technical and working through that. And then while we're waiting for the interim fly quiet to go through, we're also working on what's being called Fly Quiet 21. Fly Quiet 21 will be hopefully implemented in 2021, and it will be the permanent rotation plan for the airport. A rotation plan sounds simple at first, I thought it was, and then you dig into the airport operations, the flight headings, the departure headings, the arrival procedures, and it gets rather complicated. So there's a lot of very dedicated individuals who go to a lot of meetings. I go to a lot. We have paid consultants. We have staff that goes. We've got several staff members that go to these meetings to help craft this. We're making some progress. Getting the FAA, CDA, and the airlines on the same page has proved to be difficult, but I do think we will have a plan by 21 to get a permanent rotation in place. So that's kind of a broad overview of what we're doing, maybe a little bit longer than 10 seconds. I apologize for that, but
So
like
just because we don't talk about it every meeting, it's not that we're not going to the meetings and
yeah,
attending it.
I would venture to guess that staff probably spends 6 to 15 hours a week working on O'Hare issues alone. So it's something that we focus a lot of energy, effort, time, and money on.
Thank you. Is there any other new business? Is there a need for executive session?
There is no need for executive session.
Is there a motion to adjourn our meeting?
You have a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We are now adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.